Earlier this year, I made a video where I talked about what I consider to be the best cosmetics in TF2, and while I was mostly happy with my choices, I was basically just listing my favorite cosmetics instead of the ones that could be classified as the best. Now that wouldn't be so bad if it weren't for one thing. I didn't have any sort of metrics to accurately pick why a cosmetic was the best. Instead, I just chose the ones that were my favorites and called it a day. And because that video got barely any traction, I eventually decided to make it private. But I did like that video idea and didn't want it to go completely to waste, plus some of my picks for favorite cosmetics have changed since then. So today, I'm back to talk about not the best cosmetics in TF2, but my favorite ones. Same rules as last time though, one cosmetic per class, and no Halloween restricted cosmetics, since the ones I like the most should be wearable year round. Now these are obviously my favorites, and some of them might be yours too. Or you might hate these, and your favorites could be completely different. So let me know in the comments which cosmetics you'd put in this category. Alright, I've said enough already. Let me show you what my favorite cosmetics in TF2 are. Now in that previous video, I chose the Pomade Prince as my favorite Scout cosmetic since I've always been a fan of his hair cosmetic replacements. I even explained how it won that title over the Baseball Bills Sports Shine, which is essentially the same cosmetic without this little tuft of hair on top. And while I still really like the Pomade Prince, I think it was my favorite mainly because I already owned an unusual version of that hat, which recently I've been finding myself using less and less. That, combined with the fact that I've been appreciating the look of Scout's default hair more and more, made the Sports Shine overtake the Pomade Prince as my favorite of Scout's cosmetics. I mean, it's a simple yet really solid cosmetic since it's just Scout without his hat, but it makes for a simplistic, clean look for your Scout loadout, and it can also serve as a nice loadout filler if you're trying to find that third cosmetic to round out your look. And I do still love the Pomade Prince, but the Baseball Bills Sports Shine has really grown on me recently, just barely overtaking the former in terms of my favorite. Soldier is no stranger to great-looking coat cosmetics, which are arguably my favorite cosmetic type for him, but when a certain one was released last Smissmas, I took one look at it and immediately knew I had to have it, and ever since then, it's been my favorite Soldier cosmetic, and that cosmetic would be the Field Fatigues. This is by far the best coat Soldier has in my eyes, coming in both regular and camo styles to add a ton of loadout potential, with the latter being my preferred style. Now there were a few complaints about this cosmetic when it first came out, the main ones being that the cosmetic is too busy and could have been toned down a bit, how it should have been colored closer to Soldier's default coat, and even how there should have been a style that removes the Soldier's grenades. And while most of those complaints are valid, those aspects of the cosmetic never really bothered me that much. If anything, maybe the top coat pockets could have been removed and a no grenade style could have been added, but apart from those nitpicks, to me, this is a peak cosmetic choice for Soldier, just a great coat option overall. Okay, I might lose some of you here with my pick for Pyro, but bear with me. My new favorite cosmetic of theirs is the Enabler. Yeah, I know Pyro has tons of other cosmetics, and I know this thing sticks out like a sore thumb among their other hat choices, but I'd be lying if I said I didn't like this abomination. In a landscape where Pyro has tons of good-looking cosmetics for more serious loadouts, and a number of goofy cosmetics delving more into the absurd, something like the Enabler is just off-putting to say the least. That single eye combined with the smile forever stuck in place and the cold, metallic, bulky head is nothing less than a bit unnerving at times. Plus, according to the very limited sources I could find on the PopBot universe, where the Enabler is from, it's apparently revealed in certain paintings that the Enabler killed somebody and took over their body so that it could, quote, gain new experiences. Huh. Maybe that's what happened to Pyro here. But you hardly see anybody wearing this thing or giving it any sort of love, and its underdog status, plus the intimidating and unpredictable look of this cosmetic, makes it my favorite of Pyro's cosmetic selection. Okay, but seriously, this thing actually gives me the spooks. This is going to be a pretty straightforward pick for Demo since I don't really have a whole lot to say about my favorite cosmetic for him, being the Tartan Tyrolean. I just think it's a cool looking hat. It was actually one of the first hats I ever got for Demo, and it was a core part of my first ever loadouts I made for him. So much so, I had to get an unusual version of this hat around 6 years ago, and it's been a part of my main Demo loadout ever since. But like I said, there's not a whole lot to say about the Tartan Tyrolean. It's an overall nice looking cosmetic with its plaid accents, belt loop, and feather tying the whole hat together. The only thing I might want to see different about the Tyrolean is a secondary style where painting the cosmetic changes the color of the feather, not the whole hat itself, because I really feel like some loadouts could benefit with the simple color swap of the feather instead of the entire hat. But regardless, it's still my favorite Demo cosmetic and definitely a standout of his entire cosmetic lineup. Alright, time for my favorite cosmetic from my favorite class, Heavy. Our favorite Russian strongman has a huge variety of great cosmetics to choose from, but to me, by far and away, his best one is the Hunter Heavy. It takes the things that make Heavy's design so iconic and builds on them in this really great way. The extended sleeves and addition of a camo pattern to his shirt may seem simple at first, but they really do go a long way to give Heavy a subtle improvement for his base look. Now, even though this cosmetic was from End of the Line, widely considered one of the more disappointing and underwhelming updates the game received in recent years, oh my god, 2014 was 11 years ago, it's hard to deny that the cosmetics we got in that update were some of the best winter-themed ones the game has ever seen, and the Hunter Heavy is no exception. The recently added no bullets style to this cosmetic adds further loadout potential, giving your Heavy a more casual look if that's what you're going for. What's also hard to deny is that the End of the Line crates are getting hella expensive now. Like, have you actually looked at the prices recently? It's insane. Okay, this cosmetic has the most personal bias behind it to make it my favorite, but Engineer's cosmetic choice goes to the big country. I actually almost chose this for my favorite NG cosmetic in my previous video, with the Gold Digger barely skirting by with that title, but since then this thing has finally won me over. Part of me really loved this cosmetic for just being a solid hairpiece for NG fitting in with a ton of loadouts, and the other part adores it only because I own a 1 of 4 phosphorus version of the hat. Yeah, definitely no bias there. Regardless of all that, it really is one of the best hair cosmetics Engineer has. It has a ton of loadout potential, and I especially love its second style that still keeps his helmet. If you're like me and appreciate the base design for NG but want to add just that little bit of extra oomph to your look, this is the cosmetic for you. It's got everything: loadout synergy, subtlety, and looks good even on its own. Like Soldier and Heavy, Medic also has a ton of great coat and body cosmetics, but my favorite one was actually a pretty recent addition to the game. The Uberwear is not only a standout addition in the game's recent cosmetic selections, but what I'd also say is my favorite cosmetic of his. I love the subtle changes it gives to his base look, opting for rolled up sleeves and a button-up vest instead of just his regular lab coat. And the paint region being just the tie helps add that little bit of extra color to your loadout without overwhelming the look you're trying to go for. I mean, what else is there to say? It's a great cosmetic overall, and honestly, I feel is the gold standard of what cosmetics for Medic should be designed after. Like Medic, my favorite cosmetic for Sniper comes from a slightly recent update, being Scream Fortress 14, and that cosmetic is the Hunting Cloak. I've never really heard any praise or criticism regarding this cosmetic, and hell, I honestly can't even remember the last time I saw someone else using it in a match. Now that doesn't mean those things never happen, but you rarely hear anything or encounter any sightings of the Hunting Cloak ever. But besides that, I adore this cosmetic a ton. The belt, scarf, upper cloak, and even the second glove it gives Sniper all come together to add a menacing look to your loadout. And like the Uberwear we just talked about, the Hunting Cloak's paint region is also small, being just the scarf, which can add a nice touch of color to any loadout you have in mind. Really, there's no complaints from me, and it looks pretty nice all around. Last but not least, we've come to Spy, and my favorite cosmetic for him is an instant classic. I won't beat around the bush or anything like that for this hat. It's the fancy fedora. This was the same pick for my favorite Spy cosmetic in my last video, and for good reason. It's iconic, has been used in multiple beloved TF2 videos, and all the way back in 2009 was even the first cosmetic Spy ever received. And my compliments on this hat might be basic, but they're 100% genuine. The overall shaping and simple, yet classy look it gives Spy make it such a stellar hat. Honestly, the TF team hit the nail on the head on their first try when making Spy's first ever hat. It's just so great. And you know what, just for fun, I'll finish off this list with an all-class cosmetic. And without question, my favorite of this type would be the Dead of Night. Now that may not be a surprise to some of you, but it's what many, including myself, would consider one of the best cosmetics in the game. Now originally, the Dead of Night was a Spy-only cosmetic, with it being made all-class in an undocumented change years later. And to me, that was one of the best changes made for any cosmetic ever. It's got everything: a nice general look for all your mercs, multiple styles that can make it lighter or darker for your desired look, a no grenade style for Soldier, Pyro, and Demo, and a sizable paint region to add that extra layer of customization for your perfect loadout. But really, if I could recommend for you to pick up only one of the cosmetics on this list, it would be this one. It has insane loadout potential, looks great overall, and absolutely won't leave you disappointed. I mean, or maybe it will if you don't like it. I don't know. And those were my favorite cosmetics in TF2. Now, my choices for this list have definitely changed over the years, but the ones I chose for this video will most likely be a part of my main loadouts for quite a while. Like I mentioned earlier, let me know if you're a fan of any of the cosmetics I talked about today, and feel free to let me know what your favorite cosmetics are down in the comments. Now, I do want to apologize if you were expecting a more substantial video than this one, because this was basically just a filler video that I wanted to get out while I'm working on other larger projects, and something I wanted to finish right before this year's Smithmas update drops. Hell, by the time I upload this, it might already be out. Regardless, at least this might have given you something interesting to watch while you're eating lunch, or it might have even shown you some cosmetics you otherwise didn't know existed. But anyway, that's all I've got for today, so thank you all for watching, happy holidays, and I'll see you in the next video.